Welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views, they are amazing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. I'm your moderator, B. Jones, and Coach K is in the back. What's happening, brother?
Good, man.
Got the orchestra
what
going
am I in the
good?
back of, though?
I meant got the orchestra in the back. I kind of got lost there.
Oh,
but you got
okay.
the orchestra in the back.
Like, wow. Like, I didn't realize that we had a back portion to...
Oh,
You got the
man,
orchestra behind you, man.
makes
You
it
ready to do
easy.
some things.
Yeah,
What's
man.
going on, brother?
Nothing, man. I'm here, man. I don't know why, man. I'm like cold, man. Like,
I'm about to say you look kind of chilly up there,
What's going on in the ATL? You got all the Columbia's finest over there?
yeah, I don't know. It's like 52 degrees outside. I know it's like 70 degrees in the house. I don't know.
70 is still kind of chilly, man.
Okay. I mean, 70 might be chilly, but you know what? Anything warmer than that and my gas bill want to come chill with me. So I'm good.
There it is. BJ, what you got going on, brother?
No much, man. We chilling down this way.
Easy. El Freshito, what's happening, man?
Man, y'all know how it go. Another beautiful day in Zamunda. Introducing everybody to the characters of Man Harvest. Them boys in the back. We back here getting it jumping.
There it is. And last but certainly not least, the BFBG Faison. What's going on, bro?
Great to be back. It's been a long 2 weeks away, but I'm excited, young. It's always great to be here with the fellas. Shout out to our new subscribers, Elijah, Omori Igbe, and EJ Wash 2506. Shout out to you. Welcome to the 13th floor.
Yeah, EJ Wash, Eric Washington.
Listen, shout out to him. If he joined and he gets a shout out, I don't care if it was 2 years ago, if it's today. You subscribe,
You subscribed and we love you, dog. We love you.
I didn't
There
even
it is.
click until you just said it.
Well, there it is. Shout out to the new follower, subscriber. As Faison already alluded to, man, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you can get notified on everything that we dropping. Faison does amazing things with the YouTube page, so we definitely want to keep it going up. And if you're listening to this thing on iTunes or Spotify or iHeartRadio or any of the other places where our podcast can be found, make sure you leave us a comment, rate the podcast 5 stars if you can. Go ahead and get that up there, and then follow us on all the social medias. 13th floor, please, on Instagrams and the Facebooks, and then you can check the podcast on Facebook. We up there now. Carol set us up and everything. Carol, did you get that troubleshooting done?
You mean as far as why the episodes are disappearing?
I mean, yeah, man. What's going on here?
Man, you gotta ask Zuckerberg, man.
It's the man. Exactly.
We trying to be a part of the Metaverse.
Exactly. We have not transcribed.
Did we convert to Meta?
Yet.
No.
Exactly. We're still we have not graduated to 5D yet.
Right.
Well, definitely check us out, man. We got 2 great last episodes, 203 and 204. Facebook is hating on us right now, but you got a plethora of other platforms you can catch us on.
Yeah, they probably took us down for something silly that they just haven't told us about yet.
Yeah.
Well, you said you didn't say anything about COVID or anything that.
Not last episode.
Not a break room.
So who knows what you might have said that triggered the set off of the podcast and censorship and all the things. But we got a great episode lined up for you today, and hopefully we can get 205 to stay up there and everything. We're going to be getting into a little bit of that Dave Chappelle action. We alluded to it on 203. And so we got the gang here to give their thoughts and opinions on that whole situation there. And then you guys got a chance to hang out. I guess we can start there. You got to hang out with the ETA and the gang. Was it last weekend? 2 weekends ago? Down at ATL?
2 weekends ago.
Yeah. That was pretty. It was cool. It was cool to see some old faces, new faces. You can feel the good vibe. The energy was good. It was good energy there. It was nice. well put together. I will say it was definitely, you can see the growth. It was pretty awesome to see. The room was filled. The energy was, yeah, it was good. It was really, really good. Lots of good notes. Lots of good notes. Some cool speakers that probably aren't a part of ETA, but I'm sure they're now in that family group work together process. And it was good. Real good nuggets that I put out there. Some real cool ones.
You should tell them it's good one more time.
You know, it almost sounds like, you know, they might be trying to cover up some things. I'm just messing with you. How did that all come about, man? Because, you know, we spent a lot of time, Carol, you spent a lot of time with ETA years past and everything. So I was very, very surprised to hear that y'all were invited out there and, you know, spent time and everything. So how did that come about?
Yeah, I got an email basically that said, hey, you're one of our certified game changers. We're having a speaker boot camp. You know, it's free for you to attend if you want to come out. And I made a phone call and said, hey, what, you know, they're like, yeah, you know, we'll just be going over stuff that'll be helpful to you as a certified speaker and marketing. And I said, okay, can I bring my marketing guy? They said, yep, you can do that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, so we were there. There were lots of people there that had paid to be there. And we were there, you know, off of the strength of our financial investment, how many ever years ago. And, you know, on day two, you know, we saw the sales pitch and the real reason why we were there, because they are launching something new for a program for certified speakers to continue to help you. Some of the things that we had talked about years ago that we thought would have been involved in the initial thing. Well, now they've got that packaged up and ready to help, you know, existing speakers to book more gigs and get out there more and all that good stuff.
So taking advantage, yep.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Taking advantage much?
Taking advantage of that situation, of that package?
Yeah, the growth opportunity that is being presented. You know?
No, not this time. I think there's enough in our network and in this group that we could venture out and do what we needed to do without that assist. And we could probably direct our funds towards some self-investment.
Granted, it was good. It was a hefty price to get K certified. We got that going forward. I think that this reignited his spark, if anything, to really push forward. The next step that was going forward, they wanted us to do, or wanted him to do, was a really, really heavy investment. And I don't think that it was to the point yet where I felt like it was all right, cool, let's go. There are people there who are going to rock with it and go, but I think where K is going and how K is going through the process, it's not going to be the same as the speaker mindset. So I think that path is just not built yet. So I kind of want to let's just wait and see where it is from my opinion. But I definitely knew when Kay said, hey, let's go go to this event. I was like, because my antenna always goes up no matter what. I'm always like, yeah, it seems strange. Nothing really free in life, but okay, sure. If you want to say it's free, I'll go. And I had to let EJ and beg EJ to watch the boys. And that was a whole weekend of like, this just happened. My fault. Can you just jump in and do this? And she was like, fine. But you know, I'm paying for that all this week because she's gone. And she's gone all the way until Friday. And there's no remorse it's just like, you got this, your time's back. But yeah, resorting back to Kay and the movement and the sign up, everything else, people are going to do great things. And the way that program is set up is what we had talked about before. When Kay first got in here, I was like, these are the things that are needed. And I had told Kay that, between us as a group, but didn't tell the public that we need these things. We need the process before. We need assistance on the speaker contracts. We need to figure out who to talk to. Where's the network? And that was missing. It was kind of like, here's a plan, but you knew it was coming, but the investment of consistent payment to be a part of the ETA speaker group certification process, it just didn't feel like it was right yet. Now there are people in there that, Kay said it, 500 people already went through. So clearly
they've certified 588 people since they originally launched the program.
So clearly there is some process going forward, but out of the 500, how many are consistent? How many got that one big push and it fell off? That's what I want to get. And I think that we, as the 13th floor, as a crew, with more and everything else going on, like he has the ability to take that path and run with it. We just got to be behind him and push him. Like we tell our listeners, you got to push and keep moving and don't give up and challenge yourself every day. And when you think you're done, go an extra step. And I think that's what we got to do for Kay, because that's the next step for him. He really has all the techniques and tools. And if anyone watched the last episode, I'll put it up right here on this side for y'all. But if you didn't watch it, he really goes into the fact that what he was saying were things that people were like, wow, I didn't think of that. And he's saying that without going through the other parts of that course. So he has that in him already. We just got to push him super hard, like almost off the cliff without even caring. And he'll just land and keep running.
So, and I don't want this portion of this episode to seem like we're being vague or we're hiding something, because that's not what it is, right? You get into a room and you want to surround yourself with people that are pushing for the same thing you're pushing for, or that can help you get closer there. But in doing so, it's almost like a self-assessment, a gut check, where you get to see, okay, based on everyone in the room, where do we fall as far as capability, and do we need the type of help that maybe some of the other folks may need, or do we have it already in our network and in our group of people? So when you sit there and you do that, and I had different sessions than what Faison sat through. He sat through the sessions for the people that were just starting out or the people that were looking to get certified. I got to be in sessions with just the certified folks. And in that group, it was just like, okay, when you start to see that you stand out a little bit from that group, that's kind of the confirmation that you need as far as, okay, we've learned. There's some things that we have picked up along the way that if we just put everything together, we'll be in a very good position to not have to rely on anyone else, and we can run with this on our own.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Kay, because that was going to be one of my questions. Given the amount of self-investment that you and even we have had over the years, and some of the feedback, that we've given you offline, some of the things that you've seen, and even what you kind of allude to, when you come into these situations and you see that you do stand out a bit, or that you can play at the next level, when does the switch kind of kick in your mind, or what is it? I guess I'm trying to get into the mind of the man, because I think it's good for the listener who is making those self-investments, paying out or putting in the time and the work and the effort. And now it's like, okay, I got to kick it in the second or even third gear, or even sixth gear to get to where I know I'm capable of. So like, what is that mind state like?
I think the mindset is, there's a very fine line of where you feel like, I need to continue to get more information. I need to get more data. I need to get more guidance. And then at some point you have to realize, well, wait a minute, I'm not really relying on these training wheels. I'm kind of existing on my own and riding this bike on my own, so much so that other people are looking to me to get insight, right? And other people are looking at me like, man, I am so happy that I sat next to you today, because you just put me on to some stuff that's a game changer for me, that's going to change my life. You know what I mean? You just discovered for me in 35 seconds something that I've been trying to figure out for the last 2 years. And I think once you realize that you're starting to have those type of conversations and those type of moments, that's when you just need to go out there on your own and do your thing, because you got what you need. Now you just need to establish some consistency, get your reps in, because there will be a moment where you will need to go back to perhaps a group that is at that next level that's for you. But at this point now, you have the knowledge that you need to be successful at your next level. The only thing between you and whatever it is, as far as if you want to call it success or spreading your wings, is you just actually executing.
BJ, you good? Because I saw you at the spotlight.
I was nodding my head along with the conversation. I don't know about no spotlight, man.
Oh man, great production. Great production. That's cool, man. Well, is there anything else outside? I mean, anything else from that event? You know what I'm saying? Any takeaway that you want to pass on before I, skip us on to the next subject?
Man, I would say people really have to pay attention to their surroundings, right? And you really have to watch how things unfold. So, when people are very happy to see you and they are like, "Oh man, yeah, I'm glad you're here." You need to pay attention to that, because there is one possible perception of that where it's just like, "Oh, okay, these people really care about me, and they missed me, or they value my presence." And then there's a whole nother thing of, "Ooh, you got some talent. Yeah. We're glad you're here." Right. So other people can be exposed to that. You now become part of the offering, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of the space.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, that's when okay, let me spend some time with myself and my squad. And let's get some things moving.
Absolutely. There it is. Before we transition into the closer portion of this podcast, Fresh, I got to give you an opportunity to hit us with the Fresh-A-Vation for this week. So we about to go 3, 2, 1. Fresh-A-Vation. Let's get it.
Peace. This week we are going to talk about self-dialogue and making sure you are speaking greatness and just wealth, prosperity, joy into your life. I think it's something that many people do not tap into, even though I often talk about the fact that all power is aligned, all energies are aligned within yourself and within the universe. So if you can go ahead and start taking the time to go ahead and tap into the ability to, speak this greatness into yourself. Make sure that your self and personal dialogue is a dialogue of execution, advancement, greatness, Fresh-A-Vation, all that good stuff. If you start to have these self dialogues, and I mean even doing things, I learned about an interesting water test that if you go ahead and take 2 bottles of water, right? You rip off the label of the water. On one bottle, you write the word hate. The second bottle, you write the word love. You take those bottles, you put them in the freezer, let them freeze. What you are going to find, let them freeze for the same time. You take that bottle that you've written the word hate on, that bottle's going to be just rock hard, solid. You're not going to be able to see through that ice, and it's going to be a solid bottle because hate is so strong. However, if you look at the love bottle that's been frozen for the same amount of time, it's not going to be all the way frozen. The inside's going to be kind of slushy. The ice crystals are going to be formed a little bit different, but there's still that ability to see through it. But that's because of the power of words that you need to take into your life and start really having that understanding of speaking, just like I said, greatness into your own life. Start having that positive self-dialogue. Start being fresh-avated. We out chill. Take flight.
There it is. Fresh-A-Vation brought to you by my man DJ Barry B Fresh. Make sure you jump on his SoundCloud. Check all of the spins. My man be throwing the mixes in there sporadically, but they're always a good time. So check him out, DJ Barry B Fresh.
Baby.
It's
Be
always a
happy
groove.
that
And
they
you
do.
homecoming DJ coming up this
Oh
week?
yeah, by the time y'all hear this, it will already have happened. But yeah, I'm DJing right before the boat burning and fireworks and festivities. I may be introducing the legend John Cicada. So I'm pretty fired up right now. But other than that, you know what time it is? Another beautiful day in Zemunda.
Yeah, I don't know who John Cicada is. Who is that?
Man, that's like an old school, just like I don't. Did he go to
No
UM?
offense. No offense, John.
I
Did
don't
he?
know if he
I
did.
don't know if he
I
went to
don't
you,
know
but
if
I
he
mean,
did.
he's just like one of Ricky Martin type. You know what I mean?
If
Just
he,
like just one of them
I want to
80s.
say that both. It's like him and his wife, but I don't want to say he did, but if not, he's one of the philanthropists. Or he's been on the
Yep,
board of trustees, something like that, over the
yep,
years.
yep. But shout
Oh,
out to
okay,
John
cool.
Cicada. Shout out to the staff. Go ahead and bring me to UM. Make this thing happen. We gonna get Fresh-A-Vated out there too, baby.
There it is. There it is. So the moment we've all been waiting for. I know Carol been licking his chops to get into this thing for a
Don't
few
don't
weeks
don't
now,
don't
man.
don't do that, man. I don't want to disappoint you.
Oh man, you never disappoint. You never
I don't want to
disappoint. You
disappoint you
always show
when
up.
I'm sitting here quiet.
This was your idea. What you mean? Oh man, our man Dave Chappelle dropped a bombshell stand up on Netflix a few weeks back. The closer, laced with a lot of homophobia jokes and sprinkled in a lot of wittiness. And if you really, really listen, you'll catch the message. But apparently, as most good comedians do, he upset a few folks that were either in the crowd or in the metaverse watching, and some people had to sound off on it. And we just want to give our thoughts and opinions. That's what the 13th floor here is about, man. Expressing our views. You got 5 Black men here from different walks of life, and we just have varying perspectives on a lot of things. And right now, we're just going to get into this closer situation. I don't know who I'm gonna save UK. I'm gonna save UK because I know you got a lot that you want to get off your chest about this whole situation.
No, man.
I'm
What
gonna
I
let.
wanted to get off my chest right now was to confirm that yes, John Cicada did go to University of Miami.
Of course he
Boom.
did, man. He's on the board of trustees. He's the money man. Cicada,
He is
my
a
man.
Frost School of Music
There we
graduate.
go.
We're gonna
You know
highlight
what
him
it's
on the
about.
13th floor page at some point this week. John Cicada. Faison, man, I want to start with you, brother. Thoughts, opinions, especially with the backdrop and the fallout behind the LGBTQ community. Yeah, where you at on this, man?
So watching it, I already knew Dave Chappelle, so I've watched all those specials up to this point. So I knew that he was telling a story, and it wasn't a hate, it wasn't a I hate you, I hate them kind of experience. It was just literally a comedian telling the story, and it didn't offend me at all. There were some jokes I was like, ooh, but it wasn't the ooh as in that was too far. That was a ooh as wow, that's pretty funny. And ooh, like that caught you off guard, but it's supposed to catch you off guard. That's the job of a good comedian, is to slap you when you're not being expected to be slapped. And then if you watch it again all the way through the end, you didn't let the media ruin it. You didn't listen. I didn't see anything that was talked about. Like people were like, oh, you see this, you see that. No, I didn't see anything. But when I saw a show, and then I started listening to all the news clippings, I was like, dude, they didn't watch the end of the show. They didn't finish it, because if they would have finished the show, then you would have sat back and go, oh, it all makes sense now. And that's where it is. And it's just to me, it's crazy that people pull snippets. We are in the age of the snippet. 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever it may be. I'm going to pull this part of it and I'm going to run with that. And he says it in the show, like you would just grab one piece of it and you kept using the same speaking lines. And it's crazy because that actually happened to him on this show, which is
Right. It's clickbait. First off, that's what we're in the age of. Is clickbait. They want to try to generate and figure out any way to make some type of headline that will get people to what are you talking about? But Dave Chappelle has went to that like George Carlin progression where he is not only doing the greatest like stand up in history, but he's also bringing in this social commentary, which is that's what is the irritant, right? The fact that he can bring in the social commentary that then stimulates your mind so much that brings up these conversations that are not being fully stated but are still yet very poignant and make a lot of sense. And the fact that he does it in a joking way, it's always interesting to me how offended people can get from by comedians when it's like they are giving you the benefit of letting you know that, hey, I'm a comedian, this is what I do, and you still want to figure out some way to try to act like, I know that's your job, but I don't like the way that you're doing your job. I just think it's always such a, what are you talking about? Like, what are we doing right now? Why are we sitting here and acting like a comedian who has joked about anything? You know what I mean? Anything. They're a comedian. That's what they're supposed to do. If they're not funny, don't go to their shows, don't buy their stuff.
For me, and it didn't kind of hit me all the way until just now, and it's almost a relatable experience for something that happened to me earlier in the week. But I think it falls into, you guys ever seen this TD Jakes video? He's in a white gown. He starts out in the crowd. And at some point in this hour-long speech he gives, he talks about a 90-degree thinker versus a 360-degree thinker. Not familiar? Okay, Carol's not, so I got one. Got one.
Break it down, baby. Break it down. Break it down. Give us a 30-second synopsis or a minute.
So, and the whole speech or video or sermon, because it's a little bit of everything mixed in there, is not about that. That's a piece of it, but it's a very powerful piece. I think the whole speech is more about leadership. But he breaks down 90-degree thinkers and 360-degree thinkers. So a 90-degree person, they kind of only seeing what's right there in front of them. They're not seeing beyond, the trees that are right there. 360-degree thinker or leader is a person that's considering everything that's around them. You considering this over here, that behind you, what's coming up, and the things that might shoot you from either side of your peripherals. And I think that a lot of the stuff or criticism that was given was from that 90-degree standpoint. Because as you said, Faison, if you watch the whole thing and not just the first 45 minutes, if you actually got through the 55 minutes of it, then you see where everything ultimately is going. And Dave Chappelle, as Fresh alluded to, has run the gamut when it comes to the topics of his stand-up comedy. Even if you take into consideration how politically driven his Saturday Night Live was after the election.
Yep.
I think you really take away from the genius of the man when you're not being considerate of that. And it's not hurtful, it's disappointing when you have a community, or at least someone speaking on behalf of a community, but can't get outside of just their particular circumstance. They're not really trying to take the holistic view of everything. And it was funny because I had a very similar situation happen in the workplace. And, my question is to you all after, stating all of that is, given Dave Chappelle's stance and where he took his stance, he's like, I'm not doing anything until we can laugh together, right? How do you deal with the 90-degree thinkers? Do you kind of just leave them where they are? Do you try to juxtapose the position or figure out the position, or is it worth spending the time and effort into helping them understand, or maybe you need to gain a deeper understanding? Like, how do you go about that?
I will give people a good college try. However, I'm not I'm no longer built for the friction. And so, I mean, I will give people an opportunity to try to validate their short-sightedness, but I'm on a path of motivation moving forward. So I won't allow a lot of frustration to ensue in my quest of trying to define their short-sightedness. If they are kind of there, then yeah, they will be left behind.
I think that right now that's, like I say, it happens at work, and I take pride in a couple seconds saying, hey, I want to at least share with this person, see it from this view. I got your view, I might change your view, but here's what I did. Here's the rest of the story you may not have gotten. And I leave it up to them. I'm not going to force change their message, change their thoughts, but I'm going to tell them, well, yeah, I get your point. I get why you got pissed off and turned it off. But has you walked past that point, or has you walked past that conversation with your boss or so forth, you might have seen the bigger picture, and this is what the end looked like. And it's up to them to kind of say what it is from there. But I feel like I've set my piece, and I'm still cool with that person, or we're still cool in that group. But I know that I didn't leave them hanging, so that when it comes back around again, and it always does come back around again, I'm like, hey, I tried to tell you back then. So next time you talk to them, they're going to say, you hope they say, well, tell me more about it, or why you think that. And now the conversation starts. But they got to kind of be smacked in the face first before they can say, let me open up and see what else is out there. Sadly.
I'll drop a gem, but you better pick it up and ask me about it, I guess is the best way to put it, right? Like where I'll give you a little bit, but I'm not going to, if I can tell you're not ready for the food, I'm not going to keep on sitting there cooking and trying to, put more on your plate.
Exactly.
There's a couple things mixed in with that. Like, actually today we were part of a conversation. There's this DEI initiative push across the organization I'm with right now, and one of the professional learning we do internally is conscious inclusion, right? Is looking at all the different perspectives of what people bring to the table, identities, things like that, how it plays out. And one of the things this conversation is bringing me back to is like a 4-quadrant that deals with metacognition, right? Just thinking about your thinking. And I had to pull it up and make sure I'm not misquoting anything. So I wanted to make sure I pull the right resource. But really, you think about it, and I think it's applicable to this situation right now. 4 states of how you firstly address stuff and then you take action. First is, I don't know what I don't know. I know what I know. I don't know what I know. Or I know what I don't know. And at many different stages in life, in every situation we're fluidly moving through these 4 quadrants. And that was one of the things that I brought to the table today, because they wanted us to kind of pull out, like, so what are you bringing to the table about this conversation? I'm like, I see myself in all 4 quadrants, right? And I think personally, and again, not to put I'm forward thinking anybody else or whatever, but that was where I was sitting at today with this whole conversation we were having. Again, in the group, there's 2 Black males. I'm trying to count squares on the screen. I'm sorry, y'all. 2 white males, 3 Black females, and a plethora of the Latinx community that are in this cohort that we're going through right now. And then when I said that, like, everybody kind of paused and like, well, kind of explain more. I'm like, so take this whole, what the question was, what do you do, right, Brett? I don't want to lose sight of what the question was. What do you do? How do you approach it, right? So part of it is that, again, this is an art form. And he said in the whole spiel, this is the art. There's like somebody painting, somebody taking the photograph, somebody doing sculpture, whatever. Like, how you interpret it is how you interpret it, right? So what he's saying on stage, again, if you listen all the way through, but again, just like you read a book, you listen to this podcast, somebody's going to walk away from this podcast with one understanding that somebody else listening to is going to walk away with a totally different understanding, right? And it's, what do you do with that information? Are you stuck in your position that you know what you know and what you know reigns supreme? Or do we have that growth mindset where there may be some things about this whole situation? I can't tell you how a member of any community, because when we talk about the Jewish community, talk about the Black community, talk about the LGBTQIA, I think I got everything in there now. Community, like there, and again, that even me saying that part is growth of trying to acknowledge, okay, that's an evolving description, evolving group, and trying to be acknowledged of it. You asked me that 2 years ago, like I don't know. Like, so personal growth, like I don't know what I don't know. So when I go back to that quadrant and I think about all those different components of it, is really that metacognition. Do I need to have the conversation? Does communication lines need to be open? Yes. To what extent does that mean? I can't say for him, that may be a totally different level than any of us over here ever think of. Like, it may be another interaction with another person. This is just gonna tweak it and have that conversation, and then be like, look, when he got to the point where that person, like, again, if anybody got to the end of that story, I don't want to break it up for anybody who hasn't seen it, right? Spoiler alert for that. But when he got to the end of that story, I was like, oh my God. Like, I emotionally felt that, like sitting here watching it, like, that's
it was so unexpected.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the drasticness of what we're doing to each other in society, but not understanding which quadrant you fall in, and am I stuck there, or can I move fluidly through that? And that only happens through communication. I know I've been quiet all night. That's my piece.
Good.
No, and I saw it coming.
Wisdom.
So the first thing I want to say is, Brett, if you remember coming into my office in Maryland, I don't know if you remember that I had a circle drawn on my board and said that
Yes.
certain people. You remember that?
I remember. I don't remember all the details, but I do remember you had it. Yes.
And I said there were certain people at this level, they're 90 degrees. Then you get to this level, you're 180 degrees. And then you keep going right around the full circle, right? Here's the thing. And here's what's happening with, in my opinion, what's happening with Dave Chappelle. There are people out there who have a 90-degree view. And then you have people that don't go do research for themselves and they cheat off of those people's paper and they have the same 90-degree view. Right? Where if you would have put in the work, you'd have understood that you might have gotten to at least 180 degree, even if you didn't get to 300 to 360. Right? So there's people that aren't even taking the time to go watch it. They're just jumping on the bandwagon. But here is the crazy thing. And what they're doing is exactly re-emphasizing his point. And he specifically chose the LGBTQIA community because here is the thing. Yes, when you think about minorities or those that are underrepresented or those that are treated unfairly, that's like the strongest group. And why are they the strongest group? They're the strongest
they include
group.
everyone.
They're the strongest group because you encompass everybody else. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. It doesn't matter what country you're from, male, female, transgender. You all unite under that group.
True.
So the diversity of that group is the strength of it. And that's why they hold so much power right now, because you're organizing based on your status as LGBTQIA, right? And I think Dave's whole point is, hey, that's great. You guys figured something out, right? Mm-hmm. You if you're black, that's it. You're black. You can't go find somebody else to go be a part of the group, right? Mm-hmm. Legitimately be part of the group, right? If you're female, yes, with an operation, yeah, I can go be female, but at the end of the day, you're female, right? If you're Hispanic, that's it. You're Hispanic, right? You can't. If you don't fall into that classification, you can't go be in it all of a sudden, right? So there's a certain strength there in that particular group. And I think the whole point is, hey, look, what are you doing with your strength? Mm-hmm. Because if you're not doing something with your strength and using it to help everybody else, then you're just like the white males. You have power. You could change it if you wanted to, but you choose to preserve yourself. Which I think the whole point was, hey, if you're not now going to turn around and use the position that you've now got to help everybody else, then you're just as bad as the people that are in the position of power now.
100%.
And if you think about the one joke where he said, and he drew references to it too. He said, hey, the Me Too movement, you guys went about that all wrong, right? And here's what you need. you need a man to come over there. And then he went through the whole thing. And then at the end, he said, oh, we're back full circle, aren't we?
But that's that genius. That's that, like I said, George
G-
Carlin was one of those guys who used to do that just so amazingly, like just be able to put that button on it that like, yo, it would still take you watching it 3 or 4 times before you can do exactly what you just did, Kay, when it's really like that realization of like, Jesus, this man is a genius, like a genius to be able to do that, tell that story that way to make that
yeah,
statement.
right. And it's really like, hey, look, along the way, who helped you? Now, what are you going to do at this point? Right? Are you going to turn around and cast out the very people that were willing to help you and want to cancel people because even though they didn't agree with you, they still helped and supported you? And now where are
Period.
we?
Period. Powerful.
Here's
So
the question.
it's a very interesting situation. And here's the thing. I think his documentary, I think that was the next thing that he was coming out with, was a documentary.
Didn't it come out already, or is that an old one?
Nah, so what did you guys have the opportunity? He did like a little rebuttal to everybody. I don't know if it was at a stand-up show that he did recently, but pretty much everybody but Netflix has iced him out. He pretty much told the community that like, yo, he's not backing down, and he wasn't talking bad about them in the first place, but he's not backing down from what he said because again, he put in the same context of what you just stated. But then he also said that they're gonna do a private viewing. Well, it's not a private view. I think in 5 cities, he said he's selecting that the movie's going to be, or the documentary is going to be shown for free. I don't know if it's for free or if it's only going to be like at select theaters in these 5 cities. I didn't really
Well,
get the full.
nobody will pick it up now.
Yeah, but that's what he said. So that's what
Right.
he's doing is a 5 city. Everybody shut him down but Netflix, and so he's doing there's 5 cities. But I just don't know if he said that in those 5 cities he was like showing it directly at at some theaters for free, or if it was like available in those cities, or if it was like I didn't get the full concept of how the delivery was going to roll out. But I know he had 5 cities that he was going to be able to present this documentary in.
Yeah. So I feel he had a multi-tiered plan because I think he saw this first part happening. So I want to see how the rest of it plays out. Like, what's he going to do next?
So
Yeah.
the one thing you hit on, and you talk about that cancel culture, and that's the one thing I think with this society we live in now, that again, especially celebrities, right? You have somebody with the status, the money, the people believe that, oh, I'm just gonna go after you and go that way, right? And again, this is BJ's take on it. Like if you look at anybody and everybody who has been quote unquote canceled in society, is like, what's the reason? What's the justification? You've got people on the cancel culture list, the things that happened 10, 11, 12 years ago, right? Things that were done at a stand-up. Kevin Hart, he brought it up in a piece. Something that happened, I can't remember what year that they were referring to when it happened. But it was more than 6 years prior to.
It might have
I'm
been
thinking,
10 or
I
15
want to say it
years
was
prior
10,
to.
but I don't
Yeah,
remember exactly
it
how many
had
years.
nothing to do with any time that he was even remotely famous.
And again, and I'm not dismissing it. I can't tell you how somebody from a specific culture or group will react. But instead of somebody talking to communicating, they wanted to cancel Eminem for the song he did back in it was like 2001, 2002. I'm like, are you, again, with that attitude, every single person needs to just be shut down. That means that's telling you that nobody can grow, nobody can learn, nobody goes through ups and downs and makes comments or makes offhanded things about stuff. They don't know what they don't know. And I go back to, again, it's not an excuse, but people do grow in their mentality, in their understanding. And a lot of that growth happens with life. and what we experience life. Now, you can't tell me, like, growing up in a Black family, that there weren't certain stereotypes that you guys were exposed to about Blacks in general, about whites, about Hispanic, about anything, right? The only way we grew out of those things was to do what? You experience life. You get around different communities, you get around different experiences, you are exposed to things throughout your life in general. And I thank God for all those exposures that I've ever been a part of.
Yep.
The good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Yeah.
But all those things have shifted my mindset. And let me think, like, yeah, we were raised and taught things in a bubble about different races and different communities. Even within the Black community, we were taught things about that because those were the people who we grew up around and the beliefs that they held. And those beliefs are passed down. The only way to get around that, and for me to say something, expose something, yes, it exposes that a certain level of ignorance, if you will. But at the same time, am I crucified for something that I did or I thought based on my environment and how I was taught before? Or are we going to have a conversation about what my views are now? And in cancel culture right now, where we do stuff and think about stuff without talking with somebody, without educating, like without understanding where that background came from, like we're just doomed. Like cross out society as a whole. Because there's no conversation, there's no communication, there's no open doors for us to get to the point where we're able to dialogue and able to grow. And the object is to really, if we talk about, this will go Black and white relations, take the LGBTQIA community out of it. If that's the idea we have about Black and white, then we're screwed. We're screwed as a society. And everybody getting close, so everybody go back to segregated communities, segregated idealists, segregated things. You do this, we're gonna do that, and just live life and hope for the best. That's not the world I wanna live in.
Well said, BJ. We're gonna go ahead and leave that there. Before I come to you, Faison, for the corner and Carol for the closing, I want to remind everybody of where you can get this podcast. Obviously, you're listening to us right now, but go ahead and check us out on Facebook. You know, we're on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, all places where podcasts are played. You can find the 13th Floor. At 13th Floor, please, on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment, because Faison, he will comment back. Now I'm kicking it to you, brother. What you got for the corner this week, man?
Oh, man. So this week, it was funny because I had this idea in my head, and then Kay brought something up, and then now BJ brought something up, and I'm like, wow, this actually aligns well. So I won't start with the topic. I'll just explain the corner. You never know when your number is going to be called. You never know when you're going to need support. You never know when you're going to be called to the stage to do something or be there as a representative of some sort. And when that thing happens, you got to be ready at all times. And by that, I'm going to say, always keep a charger or always keep spark plugs, or not spark plugs. I lost what I was going to say. Always keep the cables in your car, because when they're in your car, it's a metaphor for life. Always keep your jumper cables ready to go, because you never know at what point in time you might need that jump. You may get that spark. If you're ready to go when it's called on, then you can jump right into action. But if you don't have it and you got to search for it, the opportunity can blow right past you, and someone else can jump in a spot and assist, help, move forward, succeed, or share the message that should be shared that can help someone else in that path. And that's where I'll end it.
Big facts, big facts. Coach K, it's a great episode, man. Why don't you go ahead and close us out in great fashion?
You think so, man? You think it was a great episode, man? Listen, I don't know what happened today, man. It might be carryover energy from last week. You know, everybody seemed like we were kind of tight. Like we were kind of, you know, I don't know what it is. Like we were.
I felt like the transitions were popping, you know what I'm saying? I don't feel like we got stuck outside of BJ not raising his hand. You know, I thought it was a good show, man. I don't know.
No, I agree with you, man. We'll leave it to the listeners, though, man. Listeners, let us know, if it was a great show. Let us know how you felt about it. We definitely want to know. We want you to have an active seat at the table, not a muted seat at the table. And that's where I want to take us as we close this out, because we want to say that, oh yeah, everybody's welcome to the table, but then we remove the chairs. We don't want people to be comfortable and be able to have the same rights and privileges that we do. Or we sitting there eating with stainless steel and fancy silverware, and we giving everybody else plasticware. So I think at the end of the day, if you really want to understand who somebody is, what somebody's going through, you have to give them an equal chance. You can't try to understand somebody but not be given the same platform, right? I can't speak with a microphone and I give you a soup can. It's not comparable. Your delivery will not be the same as mine, no matter what you do. So I think if we really want to be an inclusive society and we feel like there's no racism, there's no discrimination, let's put that to the test. Let's give everybody the same opportunity. Give everybody a seat at the table. Give everybody a chair. Give them all the same quality silverware. And here's the thing, if you can't do that, then why don't you sacrifice your silverware and change to plasticware so you can try to experience the life? Increase your degree of understanding. Move from that 90 to that 180. Move from the 180 to the 360. But the only way you can do that is if you expose yourself to people that have different viewpoints from you, people that have been brought up in a different way than you were. Because if the only thing you do is go find other people with the same limited view as you, then guess what? You will not grow and you will continue to have that same view. So if you really want to be inclusive, if you really want to say that we treat people fairly and there's no problems, then open yourself up. Give everybody a seat at the table. Let's have real conversation, real dialogue.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are done here on the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are
amazing.